What's up, Tim? Can you go get that phone from one of them for the conference? You can try it now. What's up, brother? Shalom, man. How y'all doing? Hey, Sequita. Mary. A few seconds. We're going to be starting. So we're going to continue our Passover lesson. Feast of Unleavened Bread for 7 days. All right. Special mic. Special mic. You gotta turn it down. So what would you do? All right. So all praises to the Most High. All right. So we're going to open up in Luke, the book of Luke, chapter 23, and pick up where we left off. In 32, it says, where there were also 2 other malefactors, meaning like criminals, led with him to be put to death. And when they were come to the place which is called Calvary, it's that place of Calvary, it's a place outside of the city limits of Jerusalem, all right, where they would take the Israelites, where Romans would take Israel and judge them to death by way of crucifixion. So it was supposed to be nothing but carcasses and dead bones and stuff like that. It says, there they crucified him and the malefactors, one on the right hand and the other on the left. So this is where they had took the Messiah after they tried to give him back unto the people and say, hey, we actually find no fault in him. But instead, they wanted Barabbas. And they wanted the Messiah to be what? Put to death. So this was Pontius Pilate and also Herod. Verse 34, then said Yahushua, Father, forgive them, for they know not what they do. And they parted his raiment and cast lots. So on the worst day of his life, when he's going to be put to death, he asked the Most High to do what? To forgive. Right, to forgive Israel. Because they were blinded by Satan because of their certain sins. A lot of times people, will be hurting you, and we will spend all our energy fighting with that person, wondering why they're doing what they're doing, instead of just asking the Most High to do something, as asking the Most High for help. This is a level here, man. This is a strong, hard level for somebody to be doing something to you, and then you trying to forgive them at the same time. You praying to the Most High in your spirit. They might not. They ain't even putting us to death. They just saying things to you, doing things to you, making you feel some type of way. And instead of, you asking the Most High to forgive them, you spend your time hating them, disliking them, fighting off Satan, trying to do the right thing, but losing the battle because you keep thinking about the wrong that was done unto you, not really realizing that the things that a lot of times are being done unto us are training purposes and exercises that's meant to increase us so that we can grow. It's like looking into a cup. The hungry man or the thirsty man sees the cup how?
Half full.
What's the other way? Right, half empty, half full. So, I think the thirsty guy sees it half empty because he's worrying about it going away. The full guy sees it half full because he's actually had enough of it. He's full. Two different vantage points, two different perspectives. Right? Right. So, yeah, that's hard to ask forgiveness for somebody that's, making you feel some type of way. But this is the level that we should be trying to shoot for. So Luke 23 and 35, and the people stood there, they stood beholding. So Israel just stood there looking. Yeah. They stood there just looking. Okay? And the rulers also with them derided him. They said all different type of evil and manner things to Christ and about him. And they said, he saved others, let him save himself. If he be Christ, the chosen of God. So what is this showing you? It's showing you that a lot of times things can happen unto you. And that doesn't mean that because things will happen unto you or you end up being a victim of a circumstance that, you're a bad person. Or you're not doing the right thing, or you don't believe, or you're not fighting, or you're not trying. Because you fall, victim to the will of the Most High. Because that's what this was. This brother being put to death, this was the will of the Most High. and he was being put to death because his actions are going to lead many people to what? It's going to lead many people to repentance, and to the and to the fact that they're going to learn how to endure unto the end. It's going to lead that. And that's why, you got brothers and sisters right now today saying that we're going to keep these commandments unto death. Because without this, brother, we wouldn't be saying it. Verse 36, Luke 23 and 36. And the soldiers also mocked him, coming to him, offering him vinegar. So the soldiers then would be like police today. Okay? Just because the police come up against the Israelites and they say things and they try to put us in jail and they look at us some type of way, that doesn't make them right. They did it then, they're doing it now. People got this thing where they feel that white is right. No, that's not necessarily true. White is right. Okay? Righteousness is what's right. A person, brother, sister that's doing the will of the Most High. That's what's right. But so they were saying, verse 37, if thou be the king of the Jews, save thyself. So that sounds like Satan. You understand? That sounds like Satan. What Satan told Christ to save himself. Throw thyself over, dash thyself down. He'll save thee. Because if Christ had to listen to them, that's who he'd been listening to, Satan. So he couldn't save himself. He could have, but he would have had to disobey the word of the Most High. At any time, Christ could have called legions of angels to help him to destroy the Romans up out of Jerusalem. But instead, he listened unto the Most High and told him, and the Most High told him to just sit and be still until he make his enemies his footstool. Okay? Verse 38. And the superscription, meaning the writing, the signature, also was written over him in letters of Greek, Latin, and Hebrew. So that's 3 languages. You understand? 3 languages. And that's why we're not to fight over the pronunciation of words. The meaning of the, I don't want to say the meaning because some, meaning has power behind meanings. But Greek, Latin, Hebrew, 3 languages. So the way that you say something and the way that somebody else says something, if they don't say it the way that you say it, is that a reason for you to argue with them? No, it's not. This is the king of the Jews, though that's what was wrote over his head. And one of the malefactors which were hanged railed on him, saying, if thou be Christ, save thyself and us. That would be equivalent to maybe like, not as much equal, but we've heard this before, the word somebody can be in really bad shape and they'll be like, what's the answer? What's the answer that's going to save us? Why this and why that? And then they want to tell you what to do. So we at Luke chapter 23 and 40. But the other answering rebuked him, saying, doest not thou fear God, seeing thou art in the same condemnation? We indeed justly, for we receive the due reward of our deeds, but this man have done nothing amiss. And he said unto Christ, Lord, remember me when thou comest into thy kingdom. So now pay attention to this. So one guy humbled himself, and the Most High allowed Yahushua, the Christ, to say this to this brother for a reason. Shalom says, and Christ Yahushua said unto him, verily I say unto you, today shalt thou be with me in paradise. So there's a realm of existence that's in the spirit world where the Messiah is, where holy angels are, and Christ said that this brother would be with him in that paradise when they die. Right, when they die. So you don't have to, a lot of, but that's on the Most High. A lot of people think that, well, you're just gonna die, and then, once you die, then, your flesh is at rest, it's in the ground dead, and then now all of a sudden, you're just waiting. Your spirit is just in a cell or something? Because the devil had you in the cell. They think that the devil got you in the cell, which he do. For real, on this physical earth. You think that in the spirit world, that the devil is going to have you in a cell someplace, tormenting you. And so then you think the Most High is going to have you in a cell just waiting, you understand, for his judgment. Now, there's a paradise in the spirit where our forefathers, if that's the will of the Most High, where they are. And where they at, they're deep. You understand? They're deep. Where they at? Now, whether you get to see that or not, is all up to you. That's when I talk about the dash. You know what the dash is? The dash is the life between when you were born. Let's say, for instance, you were born. What's up, brother? Oh, sister, shalom. You were born, some of you youth. You was born 1985. Some of us older, 1975, 1965, 1995, 2000. All right, on up. Then you happen to, leave this world. And you leave this world, and then you die. Well, what did Paul say? What did Paul say? Let's get 2 Corinthians 5. 2 Corinthians chapter 5. And verse 6. Start there.
This is 2 Corinthians chapter 5 and verse 6. Therefore we are always confident, knowing that whilst we are at home in the body, we are absent from the Lord.
That's right. When you're at home inside of the body, meaning inside of your flesh, you are what? You are absent. So you know that place where he told the malefactor that he would be with? Right. In that paradise, that's where he was. So when you're here, you're not there. You're not in that paradise with the Messiah. You're here in the body, in the flesh. You are absent from the Lord. Okay? And you are sent here to do the job that you're doing. So that's 2 Corinthians chapter 5 and verse, what is that, 6? Yeah, that's 6. So everybody understand that. Use your imagination. Don't let, I guess what we've been told by man's mouth that's coming out of, the world of Christianity or different lies and fables. Don't be afraid to think this, this the scriptures. This is the truth. All right. One precept, Luke chapter 23, we just proved it. Luke 23 and what was that? 40, 41? No, 43. Christ told the guy he's going to be with him in paradise. Paul said that, listen, when you're here, you're absent from the Lord. The Lord said he would be in paradise. You understand? So now with 2 Corinthians chapter 5 and now verse 7.
Verse 7. For we walk by faith, not by sight.
We walk by faith, not by sight. What does that mean? We walk by faith, not by sight. That means that what we're teaching, we believe that we actually will get a chance to be present with the Lord. You understand? If we keep the commandments and we keep the faith and we're doing to the end. See, we're worried about Christianity and its doctrine. That's what we're worried about. You understand? We're worried about Christianity and its doctrine and how they twist it. But these precepts, they get their doctrine using our precepts. So now it's time for us to quote our precepts. Don't be afraid to believe. That's what Peter and the apostles was teaching, repentance, and now believe the gospel. You understand? You got to repent, and now you got to believe the gospel. You got to believe it. All right? So, you had something?
Yeah, like another example of what's coming out is also in Luke 16 about the rich man and Lazarus.
Right.
Yeah.
Let's keep going.
Okay.
Because it's going into the end. The total end. All right. So, so 2 Corinthians chapter 6 and 7, for we walk by faith and not by sight. You don't see the paradise. You understand? You don't see the paradise. All you do is you believe it, once it's taught to you. Because remember, where is he coming from? He's saying that we have a confidence. So him and all the other apostles, they have that confidence. But Israel didn't have that confidence. They didn't have that faith. You understand? They didn't have that faith. They had to be taught that. No, it's not something that you can see, but you have to be taught to believe. And you have to be taught to look for certain things that increase your faith. You understand? Faith is tangible. The definition of tangible. Somebody asked a question. Perceptible by touch, material, physical, real. No. Faith is not, and so if that's how you're looking at it, is it tangible, meaning, is it Shalom, TL, Kenneth, Damien, Malik? To where, can you touch faith? No, man, it's not even seen. But at the same time, you can walk in faith to the point to where the thing that you believe in becomes a reality. If you're patient enough, and it can be rewarding to the fact to where the Most High, that's why it says watch into prayer. The Most High will bring it to pass. You understand? So let's go back. So, but we at 2 Corinthians chapter 5 and verse 7. So in this precept, where it's saying, for we walk by faith, a broad statement, Siobhan, stop playing with the book. Put it down. A broad statement, for we walk by faith. That's a broad statement. You got to walk by faith concerning everything. That's true. But in this precept is saying we walk by faith concerning what? Concerning the paradise that we will be in when we're absent from our body. Do everybody understand that? 2 Corinthians chapter 5. Forget what you've been taught. Forget what man has said out of his mouth. Man is a damn lie. This Bible is right. When you die, you are not in the rotted cold ground. Your spirit is not in a jail cell. Either you getting jacked up by the Most High in the spirit world, or you are in the paradise with the Lord. Forget the fables. This is the truth right here. 2 Corinthians chapter 5, verse 6. Therefore, we are always confident, knowing that while we are at home in the body, we are absent from the Lord. You understand? So Christ told the guy, don't worry, I got you, man. He did that for us. Not because the guy committed works and was righteous, but he did it for us to know that if we work and we get beheaded, we get beat to death, we choke on the chicken bone, he got us, man. And we get the resurrection. That gives you something to live for. Other than that, you just living for nothing, thinking that you're going to be in the cold damn ground. You understand? Sorry, don't mean to intimidate you by the profanity, by the word damn, but you know what I'm saying? You got to know what you're working for. So get to work, because you win regardless. Now the flesh that's suffering infirmities, hey, those burdens happen, man. You got to carry it. And you're going to carry those afflictions with you, because there are so many people that are going to be suffering likewise things that you got to turn and explain to them, yo, man, this is why your head hurt. This is why your feet hurt. This is why you got stress. This is why this. This is why that. So we walk by faith. The initial understanding to that precept, Paul's mind state, is trying to tell you that you walk believing that you will actually be present with the Lord if you die. And not by sight, meaning you don't see the paradise, but you should believe that you will be there. All right? So now, verse 8.
We are confident.
We are confident. Go ahead.
I say, and willing rather to be absent from the body.
Right. Who wants to be out? See, everybody on earth, they like, man, I don't want to die. I don't want to die. But he knows something. He knows something because Christ showed it to him. That's why he knows something. And that's why he's talking like that. Go ahead. Read it from the top again.
Verse 8. We are confident, I say, and willing rather to be absent from the body and to be present with the Lord.
That's right. He'd rather be absent from the body and present, you understand, present with the Lord. Because obviously the Christ had showed him, you understand, he showed him to him. All right. Is that it? Yes. Yes, that's it. That's it. Go to 2 Corinthians 12. All right, brother. Second Corinthians chapter 12, verse 1. Read that.
2 Corinthians 12 and 1. It is not expedient.
Meaning important. Pay attention. It is not expedient, meaning it's not, it doesn't profit me. Go ahead.
For me, doubtless, to glory.
Right. To glory means to boast. So he's not trying to boast. Because he knows things that we don't know. He knows things that these people don't know. Read.
I will come to visions and revelations of the Lord.
He's saying that he has had visions and things has been revealed to him about the Lord and his paradise. Read.
I knew a man in Christ above 14 years ago.
He said he knew a man. He said, man, I've been someplace. But that man that he know ain't on this earth. He can't find this man if he wanted to. Go ahead. Read that.
I knew a man in Christ above 14 years ago. Whether in the body, I cannot tell.
You see, what does that mean? Whether in my body, if he's in his body, that means when he opened his eyes, he's looking on the earth. He said, man, I'm not sure. I can't tell. So his revelation happened in the spirit. You understand? In the spirit. Go ahead.
Or whether out of the body.
Or whether out of the body. So he's had an out-of-body experience. The Lord, the Most High, and Yahushua has taken his spirit through something and showed him something. And as a result of that, he's working now. He's working now. He has the confidence. You understand? He has the confidence. Everybody understand? If you following along, man, you ain't going to be lost. Or whether out of the body. Have Paul died and came back? No, he haven't. So how did his spirit get out of his body? No. Sleep. Yes, in the sleep. Upon his bed. You understand? Upon his bed. In the visions and revelations of the Lord. Go ahead.
I cannot tell. God know it. Such an one.
Wait a minute, who know it?
God know it.
That's the only one that knows.
Right.
That's the only one that knows. The Most High knows. Go ahead.
Such an one caught up to the third heaven.
Right, such a one caught up to what? The third heaven. He said, man, it's out of this dimension.
Yeah.
This is out of this dimension. So don't let nobody tell you that paradise with the Lord is not real, man. Look forward to that. You understand? Don't be afraid to live. The Lord got you, man. He can bring you back. Live your life to the fullest. Teach this word. Speak this word. Live this word. Sacrifice your life. Okay? He's able. You understand? He's able. Go ahead.
And I knew such a man, whether in the body or out of the body, I cannot tell. God knoweth. How that he was caught up into paradise.
Right. He was in the paradise.
Right.
But paradise. So the last time we mentioned paradise, Christ was there. Y'all excuse me. How that he was caught up into paradise and heard unspeakable words. He said, I heard words that I can't talk about. Probably don't even remember them. Which is not lawful for a man to utter. All right. So that's it. Let's go back. Back to Luke chapter 23. And I stopped at verse 44. And it was about the 6th hour. So now the first hour is going to tell you when the Messiah passed away. When his spirit left the flesh and he went to that paradise for 3 days and 3 nights. Back to his Father, the Most High. So the 6th hour will be something, let's just say, around noon. Right. The first hour, at the daylight. So if it happens around 5, 6 o'clock, hour, then maybe the 6th hour, the 11th, or the 12 o'clock hour. You understand? So each day has 12 hours of daylight, like each night, each even, or each night, you could say have 12 hours of darkness. Okay? So, and it was about the 6th hour, and there was darkness over the earth until the 9th hour. So we know that it doesn't get dark 12 noon. Noon, that's when the sun is supposed to be at its highest peak. Noon, it burns the highest, it burns the hottest. It's very close to the earth. It's right on top of you. You run for shelter. It's scorching hot. But it was pitch darkness. So they knew that they had tripped. That doesn't happen. And the sun was darkened. And the veil of the temple, bam, was rent in the midst. So that's the place of worship. So there was an earthquake and part collapsed. And there was a big terror in it. And when Yahushua had cried with a loud voice, he said, Father, into thy hands I commend my spirit. So now he's still in the flesh. But he had spoke openly and outwardly to the Most High. And having said thus, he gave up the ghost. At this point, he's dead. Now, when the centurion saw what was done, he glorified the Most High, saying, certainly, this man was a righteous man. He didn't see him retaliate. He saw him live a perfect life, man, without rendering evil for evil. How many of us can suffer affliction without going astray? Without letting temptation get the best of us and you giving yourself credit because you did well for the first 5 or 10 minutes. And that's the only part that you think about. I did well, you know. I tried this and did that. I did this and that. Oh, man, you failed. You eventually gave in. You don't see the bigger picture that you flunked the test. And all the people that came together to the sight, beholding the things which were done, smote their breasts and returned. And all his acquaintances and the women that followed him from Galilee stood afar off and beholding these things. Luke chapter 23, verse 50. And behold, there was a man named Joseph, a counselor, and he was a good man and a just. The same had not consented to the counsel indeed of them. He was of Arimathea, a city of the Jews, whom also himself waited for the kingdom of the Most High. This man went unto Pilate and begged the body of Yahushua. And when he took it down, he wrapped it in linen and laid it in the sepulchre that was hewed in stone, wherein never man before was laid. And that day was the preparation, and the Sabbath drew on.
I got a cookie.
Yeah.
Something that Yasha'Allah pointed out when he was talking about crosses, that it represents the skulls and things of that nature. And with the scripture, how the man had to beg for the body to come down, because it was a custom for them to leave the body up there until it degraded itself, basically, until it became like skulls on a cross or whatnot. So if nobody would have begged for the body to come down, they would have just left them up there.
No, they wouldn't have left them up there because it was against the law to have them hanging, to leave them hanging. No, they wouldn't have left them up there. Deuteronomy chapter 21. They did their damage already. So I'm not sure and clear what Yashala said. Deuteronomy chapter 21 and verse 22. You read it, brother, back there.
Deuteronomy chapter 21, verse 22. Verse 22. And if a man have committed a sin worthy of death, and he be to be put to death, and thou hang him on a tree. Verse 23. His body shall not remain all night upon the tree, but thou shalt in any wise bury him that day. For he that is hanged is accused of God.
Accursed of God.
Accursed of
Right.
God. That thy land be not defiled, which the Lord thy God giveth thee for inheritance.
Right. So that's, remember, that was a righteous brother. And that's the reason why that brother Joseph had begged for the body so that it could be taken down, because it was against the law for it to be hanging like that. Let's go back. Galatians, the 3rd chapter. Galatians chapter 3 and in verse 13. So it says,
Galatians chapter 3 and verse 13.
no, I was waiting for them to finish the pages. I get it, thanks. Christ hath redeemed us from the curse of the law, being made a curse for us. For it is written, cursed is everyone that hangeth on a tree. So that's why he took them down, so that the land is not defiled like that. Second Corinthians chapter 5. So redeeming us from the curse of that law, that represents the whole nation of Israel. Man, we could have been hanged on that tree for all our wickedness. 2 Corinthians 5 and 21, for he have made him to be sin for us, sin instead of us, who knew no sin. Christ didn't know sin, that we might be made the righteousness of God in him. So we have to develop to be righteous by following the ways of this brother, who the Most High sent to us and set an example for us in our life. Okay. So, what's up, Brother Benny? So let's go back to Luke. What is that, Ambassador? 12 a.m. is at sunrise. Okay. All right. So Luke chapter 23. So at this point he gave up the ghost, and Joseph, he puts him in the sepulcher. Where do we stop at? Verse 52, he begged for the body. He took it down in 23. Now, check this out. Verse 54. And that day was what? The preparation. And the Sabbath drew on. So now, let me make sure it's right. All right. And the women also which came with him from Galilee followed after, and beheld the sepulchre, how his body was laid. And they returned and prepared spices and ointment and rested the Sabbath day. So as the Sabbath drew on, because remember, it was the preparation of the Sabbath day. And then when the Sabbath came, they rested according to what? According to the commandment. So Luke chapter 24 and 1. Now, upon the first day of the week, very early in the morning, so that now the Sabbath is gone. So Christ, it says, they came unto the sepulchre bringing spices which they had prepared, and certain others with them. And they found the stone rolled away in the sepulchre, from the sepulchre, and they entered in and found not the body of the Lord. So he had risen before the first day of the week, because they came very early in the morning. Go to Matthew. We're going to show you how very early it was. Matthew brings it out in Matthew the 28th chapter. Matthew chapter 28, verse 1. Read that.
Matthew chapter 28 and verse 1. In the end of the Sabbath.
In the end of the Sabbath. Okay, go ahead.
As it began to dawn toward the first day of the week.
Right. How does that look? Right. So it's going to go. Now it begins to dawn towards darkness, towards the first day of the week. So they show up. It's the end of the Sabbath. Came Mary Magdalene. So this is the woman that anointed him. In what's that? Luke 26, Matthew 26, Luke 17. Luke, same thing. Luke 7. That cried and wept. Right, almost dark. Okay, so now imagine that. So this woman and the other Mary to see the sepulchre. Go ahead.
And behold, there was a great earthquake, for the angel of the Lord descended from heaven, and came and rolled back the stone from the door, and sat upon it.
So now, thanks. So now there's somebody sitting on the stone. Nobody from town, but someone from heaven sitting upon the stone. His countenance was like lightning, and his raiment white as snow. And for fear of him, the keepers did quake and became as dead men. So now they probably out there laid out, stretched out, unconscious. So when the Most High wants to send you help, nobody can be against you. Look at these keepers. You think that's going to stop the angel of the Lord? No, man. At this point, they became as dead men. You know what a dead man is like? Just laying there. Matthew chapter 28 and 5. Go ahead.
And the angel answered and said unto the woman, Fear not ye, for I know that ye seek Yahushua, which was crucified. He is not here.
He is not here. So what day did he leave? During the Sabbath day. Yeah, he left on the Sabbath day. Everybody understand that? How not? In the end of the Sabbath, when it begins to dawn towards the first day of the week, you out there shopping. Yahushua is gone. You think he's in that cave, in that sepulcher. He's not. He's gone. So that destroys Easter Sunday. Him resurrected on the first day of the week. Off with his head. That means nothing. You understand?
I'm more thinking about when did he die then. Because he died before the second two.
Okay. So now. Matthew chapter 28. And we'll deal with it. Matthew chapter 28. And where we stop at? Verse 6. Read verse 6.
He is not here, for he is risen. As he said, Come, see the place where the Lord lay, and go quickly and tell his disciples that he is risen from the dead. And behold, he goeth before you into Galilee. There shall ye see him. Lo, I have told you. And they departed quickly from the sepulchre with fear and great joy, and did run to bring his disciples word. And as they went to tell his disciples, behold, Yahushua met them, saying, All hail. And they came and held him by the feet and worshipped him. Then said Yahushua unto them, Be not afraid. Go tell my brethren that they go into Galilee, and there shall they see me. Now when they were going, behold, some of the watch came into the city, and showed unto the chief priests all the things that were done. And when they were assembled with the elders, and had taken counsel, they gave large money unto the soldiers, saying, Say ye, his disciples came by night, and stole him away while we slept. And if this come to the governor's ears, we will persuade him and secure you. So they took the money and did as they were taught.
Man, and did how they were what?
Taught.
Man, so look at, this is what you call political corruption. Political corruption at its finest. Okay, verse 11. They were gone, but some of the watch, they came into the city and showed the chief priests all the things that were done. And when they were assembled with the elders and had taken counsel, they gave money. A lot of times people, when they sell out, man, they have sold out for money, brothers. You be wondering, like, well, why is this person falling off? Why is their mind changed? And it may be people that you know, and you wondering, like, why they doing the things that they doing, or why they saying what they saying. You don't see the so we at Matthew 28, 11 through 15 so forth. You don't see that's changed. all you see is that somebody is doing something, somebody is saying something, somebody feels some type of way. All right? And then, whether it's religion in the midst of it, whether it's anything in the midst of it, all right? Now they're saying something, and you don't know why they changed their mind. Why are you saying it? Because money is involved. So these chief priests, during the time of the Messiah, pertaining to the resurrection of the Messiah, the marvelous and miraculous works of the Father, paid these soldiers money to be quiet. Verse 15, they were assembled with the elders and had taken counsel, and they gave large money unto the soldiers, saying, say ye, his disciples came by night. So telling them what to say, and stole him away while we slept. That's the story. Okay? And if it be coming to the ears, and if it come to the ears, to the governor's ears, we will persuade him and secure you, meaning you're going to be good. Okay? So they took the money and did as they were taught. A lot of people do that. You wonder like why people go off? Yeah, they take money and do what they told. That's the reason why creating oppression. Because once you create oppression and you create a need, the first demand that you supply is food and money. Scarce on food, the offering of money. And people to save themselves, the first thing they're going to do is they're going to take what they call the bribe. And in their mind justify the means. I did this to feed my kids. I did that to feed my wife. I did this because guess what? I gotta eat. Taking a bribe, you understand, is no excuse. Okay? That's no excuse, taking a bribe. Okay? Go ahead.
Verse 16. No, so, and this saying is commonly reported among the Jews unto this day. Then the 11 disciples went away into Galilee.
So what do you think that means, that this saying is commonly reported among the Jews? Meaning they knew that the soldiers were bribed and paid off to tell lies. Do we know that people are paid money to tell and teach lies? Do y'all brothers and sisters know that?
Yes, sir.
And so you'd be wondering why it's a lot of strange doctrines in the world. Why there are versatile philosophies and theories. People are paid money to do that. All right? Okay, go ahead.
Then the 11 disciples went away into Galilee, into a mountain where Yahushua had appointed them. And when they saw him, they worshipped him. But some doubted. And Yahushua came and spake unto them, saying, all power is given unto me in heaven and in earth. Go ye therefore and teach all nations, baptizing them in the name of the Father, and of the Son, and of the Holy Ghost, teaching them to observe all things whatsoever I have commanded you. And lo, I am with you always, even unto the end of the world.
Right. So now were they to literally teach all nations, or were they to teach Israel that was dispersed amongst the nations? Right. They were to teach Israel that was dispersed amongst the nations. Okay. And doing what? What do you say? Baptizing them. So as a matter of fact, we're going to have a baptism tomorrow. So, baptism is tomorrow. You been baptized though? Obadiah?
Yeah.
Okay.
He was us.
Oh, okay, okay. So, you got to work tomorrow?
I work tomorrow.
All right, well, you'll go in the second round. We going in. Yeah, yeah, we going in. So any brother or sister that's in St. Louis that believes in these scriptures, believe in this truth, believe you an Israelite, believe in the Son of the Most High, you want to be baptized, we are having a baptism tomorrow. Okay? So just inbox me. We'll set a time, tonight, at the end of the night. But there's water, what hinders thou? So we get in it. You want to get baptized, sister? All right, all praises. Just it's that time and come on out. All right. So from there, let's go back to Exodus. Yeah, St. Louis, Missouri. Yeah, Damon, you up next, brother. Come on back. That's my dude there. So, Israel, that's how our foreparents did Christ, man. They handed him over, not really realizing how important. Before we go into Exodus, let's something that I want to point out in Acts. Acts chapter, I think it's 3. Acts chapter 2 and verse 32.
This is Acts chapter 2 and verse 32.
No, I'm slacking. Acts chapter 2 and start 20. No. 22, 21.
This is Acts chapter 2 and verse 21.
Right.
And it shall come to pass that whosoever shall call on the name of the Lord shall be saved.
Right. So that whosoever is whosoever of you Israelites. So do you just call upon the name of the Lord and it's that simple? No, calling upon the name of the Lord consists of actually wanting help and actually wanting change. That's what it's referring to, calling upon the name of the Lord. So you gotten to a point to where you've tried everything and it didn't work, and so now you're like, well, I really want to make a difference. I really want things to change. And so you're going to call upon the name of the Lord by asking the Most High to help you. And once you ask the Most High to help you, then the Most High is going to start educating you. You understand? Educating you. And once he educates you, it's about do's and don'ts. He's going to start showing you what you should do and what you shouldn't do. And when you call and you're asking for the help. That's what it's referring to, whosoever shall call upon the name of the Lord. Because you can't just call upon the name of the Lord, but then you're not going to do the things that are right. You ain't going to do what he say. You understand? So you got to... I don't know. This is that same circumstance. How much juice you got?
Not much. I like a quarter.
Yeah. What do you need that for? Oh, casting that thing.
I should make it good. No, it's just me.
All right. So, because you can't just call upon the name of the Lord and then be saved It doesn't work like that. Christ himself was asking Israel why are they doing that, and instructing us, not to do that. Everybody understand that? So it's a little bit more spiritual than just where the scriptures say, calling upon the name of the Lord, and then you're gonna be saved. You just can't do that, man. You gotta be willing to do the things that he tell you to do. All right, he said, why call you me Lord, Lord, and do not the things that I say? All right, that's Luke 6. So for the record, Luke 6. So verse 22.
Ye men of Israel.
So now when Peter is bringing this sermon out, and he's saying, whosoever shall call upon the name of the Lord, it's the day of Pentecost. Remember, Christ was saying that go and teach all nations. So now it's whosoever shall call upon the name of the Lord shall be saved, you men of Israel. So who is there saying it? All nations not there. The Israelites are there. So it said, you men of Israel, hear these words. So he's talking to Israel. Yahushua of Nazareth, a man approved of God among you by miracles and wonders and signs. So was Christ, did he just come with words? No. He came with miracles, wonders, and signs, which God did by him. So who did it? The Most High did it. So Christ didn't do it of his own accord. In the midst of you. So they saw with their own bodily eyes the miraculous things that was being done that astonished them all, that made them see that, guess what? Let me listen to what this man is saying. Then on top of that, he's still teaching the commandments. As ye yourselves also what? No. Him being delivered by the determinate counsel. Meaning these people they was destined to destroy him. And foreknowledge of God, so did the Most High know that they would do it? Yes, that's what he's teaching. You have taken and by wicked hands have crucified and slain. So that they wasn't in a righteous mind state. Now the apostles are correcting those men that did those things. They didn't just go away and stop teaching and feel discouraged because their brother got killed. They corrected them and said, listen, y'all delivered them by determinate counsel, and the Most High knew it. Wicked hands crucified them and killed them. That's what slain means, and killed them. Whom God have raised up, having loosed the pains of death before it was not possible, because it was not possible that he should be holding of it. For David, now he's going into what? The Psalms. In Psalm 16, for David speaketh concerning him, I foresaw the Lord always before my face, for he is on my right hand, that I should not be moved. So what is David speaking of? That his shield and buckler and protection had always been the one that they themselves murdered. That's supposed to be our mindset. We at Acts chapter 2 and 25, now 26. Therefore did my heart rejoice and my tongue was glad. Moreover, also my flesh shall rest in hope, because thou wilt not leave my soul in hell, neither wilt thou suffer thine Holy One to see corruption. So now question, when we read that in the Psalms, is that David? Yeah, David's flesh saw corruption. Yahushua's flesh didn't see corruption because it raised from the dead. The Father put the Spirit back in him, and he got the flesh back. It says, thou hast made known to me the ways of life. Thou shalt make me full of joy with thy countenance. Men and brethren, let me speak speedily unto you of the patriarch David, that is both dead and buried. See, so he like, listen, this ain't talking about David. This time about Christ. And his scepter is with us unto this day. So they would have went during the time of that. All those generations, almost like 28 generations away, they could have went into the sepulchre and saw David's dead body. Therefore, being a prophet and knowing that God hath sworn by and with an oath to him that of the fruit of his loins. What we gonna do with that? Therefore, being a prophet and knowing that God hath sworn with an oath to him, who's being a prophet? David. And that of the fruit of his loins. So how did the Most High impregnate Mary? If the fruit from David's loins, the Most High didn't. The fruit of a man's loins is talking about the seed, man. According to the flesh, he would raise up Christ to sit on his throne. He's saying this before spake of the resurrection of Christ. So he's saying this before, in his lifetime, spoke in Psalm 16 concerning the resurrection of the Messiah of Israel that will be born in Bethlehem of Judea and become a Nazarene. That his soul would not be left in hell, neither his flesh did see corruption. This Yahushua have the Most High raised up, whereof ye are all witnesses. So they all saw it. Therefore, being by the right hand of the Most High exalted, having received of the Father the promise of the Holy Ghost, he hath shed forth, which now ye now see and hear. For David is not ascended into the heavens, but he said himself, the Lord said unto my Lord, sit thou on my right hand. Where did David say that at? He said it in the Psalms also. Psalms 110. That the Most High said unto his Lord. And Psalms 110, right. Until I make thy foes thy footstool. So Yahushua had to chill. Because the lesson that had to be learned was to the students, which was the nation of Israel. Therefore, let all the house of Israel know assuredly that the Most High, Yahweh, have made that same Yahushua whom you crucified, both Lord and Christ. Now, when they heard this, they were pricked. They were cut. Because what is he coming out of? The scriptures. That they couldn't debate or come against. The scriptures which they knew. Because what? This brother that they had killed and allowed the Romans to persecute and allow their evil leaders to continue to be so determined and pressed to do it, even though it was the foreknowledge of the Most High, should they have mentally been agreeing with it? The answer is no. They shouldn't have been agreeing with it. Because he was approved by them by works, miracles, wonders, and the astonishing doctrine that was full of truth and grace. So there was no way that you destroy a good brother like that. You ain't supposed to add your 2 cents in it. You're supposed to be able to acknowledge and say, hey, this brother here has done nothing amiss. I'm washing my hands of this. Don't do so. That's what you're supposed to be doing. But they were pricked and said unto Peter and to the rest of the apostles, men and brethren, what shall we do? So this is what they did to Christ. And then turned around after Satan finished destroying them and using them. And now they can see clearly to the point to where now they need to ask, what do we do? Don't let Satan exploit you. Get you to do what? Hate one another, destroy one another, and then after he's used you to destroy your brother, now you want to repent, or you want to try and recover yourself. You might not be so lucky. You might not be so, because ain't no luck. You might not be blessed enough. What's the difference? Because they did this in ignorance. What's our excuse? If our excuse is just hatred and not ignorant, then guess what? You might not get that spirit to redeem yourself. Like the Most High gave it to them. Don't tempt the Most High. All right? So now, from here, let's go back to Exodus. We got work to do here. Exodus chapter 14 and verse 1. And the Lord spake unto Moses, saying, Speak unto the children of Israel, that they turn and encamp before Pahaharath, between Migdal and the sea. Right. Over against by Al-Zephon, before it ye shall encamp by the sea. For Pharaoh will say of the children of Israel, they are entangled in the land, the wilderness have shut them in. Because remember the mind state of the Pharaoh, they don't want to never let you go. Okay? Did y'all see that short video that I posted? Posted a short video. It was about, what's the name of this picture? The Amistad. Yeah, I think it was the Amistad, where two presidents was eating together, maybe a president in the past or something like that, and so remember on the Amistad, they had kidnapped them or whatever, and so the Americans, they were still pro-slavery supposedly, and the British was supposedly not be, they wanted to abolish the slavery and stuff like that, and so the Americans were saying that they wasn't as fortunate as the British, and that the British, that they were fortunate, that they were wealthy, and the Americans was like, we're gonna need slavery to continue, and if you stop, because that meeting, it was like, this meeting is not about whether some naval ships intercepted and took some slaves. This meet, I'm gonna show it to y'all. This meeting is actually about, whether we're gonna go, whether we go to war, with y'all. And so everybody that was sitting, like we're at this long table, everybody sitting at the table is listening to this man say this. They think that they're there to try and reason with him about abolishing slavery, and about the treatment of the slaves. And he's like, no, I'm not even concerned about that. I'm wondering, am I going to have to go to war with you? Because he said that slavery was the fabric of the country, and that they couldn't do without it, so on and so forth. And then he was pretty much like over his dead body.
What?
So, I'm saying is to say, they don't want to let you go.
Yeah.
You understand? They don't want to let you go. That's waste. You know how, like, in every business, you have waste. You have things that go to waste, like milk that spoil, meat that go bad. You got so much tonnage of this. The waste, the stuff that they pay us is less than their waste. You get what I'm saying? It's less than their waste. So in theory and in truth, you're actually working for free. The only way that you actually making some money and a profit that's even worth talking about something is if you are a hell of an entertainer and you can jig a boo big enough for them. You understand? And your revenue is out of control because now you have the world population pouring into your pocket. That's the only way that they cannot control your revenue. Outside of that, you just go working for them day, hour for hour, and day by day, week in and week out, you nothing. You a net compared to the wealth that's in this country. But it cannot be done without you. It cannot be done without you. Those trucks don't run without you, bro. Them light switches don't run without you. They need you to lock the doors. They need you to count their cash. They need you to be faithful. They need you to do all of those little operations that they tell you ain't about nothing, and that's why you're making $11. That's why you're making $8. That's why you're making $13. Come and turn the light off your damn self. Come back from vacation and cut your light off, man. I ain't going in today. Come cut your light off yourself. You know your light's left on, don't you? Hit the... Yo, Daryl. Not you. Yo, Daryl. Hit the alarm when you go off, okay? You cut the alarm off your damn self. You understand? They behinds be vacationing in Miami. Right. You in the dead of winter. You got to get out there in the snow. You know what I'm saying? Trying to keep from crashing. They dirty as hell. Filthy wicks off of it. They don't care nothing about your life. That's why I try to tell y'all, man. Y'all get y'all life together, man. Save some money. Everybody save some money, man. Get your life together. So that you can regain your life. What's up, bro?
How do you save money when you're not making money?
Well, stop spontaneously spending on everything that you see it.
Right.
You understand? Every time you see something, you gotta have it.
Right.
Make sense?
Makes sense.
Yes. Yeah. All right. So, where was we at?
14.
Exodus chapter 14. This Pharaoh, what made me think about it, this Pharaoh, he's still wondering about Israel. Israel's supposed to be gone. They don't want to let him go. They don't want to let us go. Exodus 14:4, I will harden Pharaoh's heart that he shall follow after them. And I will be honored upon Pharaoh and upon all his hosts, that the Egyptians may know that I am the Lord. And they did so. So it's going to be the same way in America. Let them get their issue off. Y'all just continue to dodge every bullet that you possibly can. Okay? Because what's going to end up happening is their wickedness have reached the heavens. The Most High is going to judge them. He's going to bring them down. And there's nothing that they're going to be... You know, so we was watching... what's that movie? Who's Judah? What's that movie that kept playing over and over? The War of the Worlds. Over at the house.
Yeah,
at the house. The War of the Worlds, right?
Yeah.
Was you in there looking at it?
Yeah.
You remember the part where the robot was like, and just was evaporating them. And they were running. Brother, under the power of the Most High, they ain't going to be able to do nothing. You understand? They ain't going to be able to do one thing, brother. They're going to get fed destruction. Yeah, that was that part. They were running, and they were just getting evaporated. That was the funniest part, man. That's like my favorite movie. They always find a way to win. But according to this word, they don't win this one here. They lose this one. You understand? They lose this one. All right, so we're at Exodus chapter 14 and verse 5. And it was told the king of Egypt that the people fled. And the heart of Pharaoh and his servants were turned against the people and said, why have we done this, that we have let Israel go from serving us? And he made ready his chariot and took his people with him. And he took 600 chosen chariots and all the chariots of Egypt and captains over every one of them. And the Lord hardened the heart of Pharaoh, king of Egypt. So when you see certain things happening right now today, that be the Most High hardening people's heart. Right. And that's what they doing. Right. That's why you got to stay to the good so that you be protected. And this will end up happening to somebody that's not listening. You just happen to fall victim and fall prey if you somebody that's not listening and paying attention. Hey, I know that every class we always talking about listening and paying attention. At the same time, do you notice that you're surviving? You should be getting better. You understand? Let us leave off from taking positive criticism and instruction and see where you wander off to. You'll wander out of the way because there's nothing feeding your mind to tell you not to do it. Do we understand what I'm saying? We're going to do what we feed ourselves. You ever heard you are what you eat? Yeah. Exactly. So now if you constantly eating and feeding yourself this, when you leave, you supposed to be a product of what you constantly eating. And you understand? Yes, sir. That's why it's a necessity. You're trying to survive. All right? So you can pick up and read, brother. This is Exodus chapter 14. And the children of Israel went out with a high hand. Right, verse 9. Right.
Exodus chapter 14 and verse 9. But the Egyptians pursued after them, all the horses and chariots of Pharaoh, and his horsemen, and his army, and overtook them encamping by the sea, beside Pihahiroth, before Baal-zephon. And when Pharaoh drew nigh, the children of Israel lifted up their eyes, and behold, the Egyptians marched after them, and they were sore afraid. And the children of Israel cried out unto the Lord. And they said unto Pharaoh, because there were no graves in Egypt, hast thou taken us away to die in the wilderness?
So then they turn around and they turn on who? They turn on their leader, Moses, because Moses was Israel's leader, and said, because there's no graves, you're going to bring us out here to die. Go ahead.
Wherefore hast thou dealt thus with us, to carry us forth out of Egypt? Is not this the word that we did tell thee in Egypt, saying, let us alone?
Right. Many people do feel like that. Leave me alone. That doesn't make it right. Go ahead.
That we may serve the Egyptians. For it had been better for us to serve the Egyptians than that we should die in the wilderness.
Right. So some people feel like serving the Most High is death unto them. That's not death unto you to serve the Most High. People want to be left alone. Leave me alone so I can just... Today, they're not calling themselves Egyptians. They said, man, I'm an African. Leave me alone. Yeah. That I may, I want to be the same. Okay? Go ahead.
And Moses said unto the people, fear ye not, stand still, and see the salvation of the Lord, which he will show to you today. For the Egyptians whom ye have seen today, ye shall see them again no more forever. The Lord shall fight for you, and ye shall hold your peace. And the Lord said unto Moses, wherefore criest thou unto me? Speak unto the children of Israel, that they go forward. But lift thou up thy rod, and stretch out thine hand over the sea, and divide it. And the children of Israel shall go on dry ground through the midst of the sea.
Right. So even though Israel was being rebellious and saying, leave us alone, we want to be back in Egypt, we want to do this, what did the Most High advise them to do? Right. Speak unto the children of Israel that they go where? Forward. Verse 15. Everybody see and understand that. Right. That they move forward. So you don't give up on the people because they want to give up on themselves. You know best from experience through faith. You don't let them tell you what's best. Everybody understand that?
Yes, sir.
Right. Well, if they will hear or if they will what? Forbear. Meaning if they don't want to hear it. You got to tell them to go forward. Don't lose patience with them. You tell them. What did Moses tell them in verse 13? Fear ye not, stand still and see the salvation of the Lord. So now we know that the world is not coming to an end right now today, because if it was, it'll be happening. So now you got to open up and explain and show them, you know, maybe different current events that the Most High is involved in, so that they can see and help, they can help them understand what's going on around them and what they should be doing. Okay? Go ahead, back over to verse
17.
Right.
And I, behold, I will harden the hearts of the Egyptians, and they shall follow them. And I will get me honor upon Pharaoh, and upon all his hosts, upon his chariots, and upon his horsemen.
Right. How do we see that today? So now, I will harden the hearts of the Egyptians, and they shall follow them. Who would the Egyptians be today?
Police.
The police. I will get me honor upon Pharaoh, and upon his hosts, and his chariots, and horsemen. How did the Most High get honor upon them? He destroyed them. So today, what does that look like? Dre? Jamie?
Killing in the streets.
Killing in the street? Okay. Judah?
Police dying in the street.
Police dying in the street.
Yeah.
Police dying in the street. Right. So the Most High sees it. We've seen that before. Okay? Let's keep going.
Verse 18. And the Egyptians shall know that I am the Lord.
Right. The Egyptians shall know that they are the Lord. So now, question. They want to blame it on us and point the finger, but according to this Bible, they should actually know who's killing them.
Right.
Everybody understand that? So, don't let them throw the guilt on you. They know. The Lord said in Deuteronomy 32 and 39, I kill. They know he kills. You understand? When it's all said and done, when they finish blaming and calling us niggas, they want to know, why did God do this? You understand? Okay, because he was a crooked Egyptian. Okay, we'll keep it clean, huh?
Yeah.
He was a crooked and wicked Egyptian. Riding on his chariot. You understand? Galloping on his horse. Go ahead, bro.
When I have gotten me honor upon Pharaoh, upon his chariots, and upon his horsemen, and the angel of God, which went before the camp of Israel, removed and went behind them. And the pillar of the cloud went from before their face and stood behind them. And it came between the camp of the Egyptians
Right.
and the camp of Israel.
That's right, in the camp of Israel. So when we out there, we should feel protected.
Right.
Okay? The Lord said he do walk it in the camp. We should feel protected. Go ahead.
And it was a cloud and darkness to them, but it gave light by night to these, so that one came not near the other all the night. And Moses stretched out his hand over the sea, and the Lord caused the sea to go back by a strong east wind all that night, and made the sea dry land, and the waters were divided. And the children of Israel went into the midst of the sea upon the dry ground. And the waters were a wall unto them on the right hand and on their left. And the Egyptians pursued and went in after them to the midst of the sea, even all Pharaoh's horses, his chariots, and his horsemen. And it came to pass that in the morning watch the Lord looked unto the host of the Egyptians through the pillar of the fire and of the cloud, and troubled the host of the Egyptians, and took off their chariot wheels, that they drave them heavily, so that the Egyptians said, Let us flee from the face of Israel, for the Lord fighteth for them against the Egyptians. And the Lord said unto Moses, Stretch out thine hand over the sea, that the waters may come again upon the Egyptians, upon their chariots, and upon their horsemen. And Moses stretched forth his hand over the sea, and the sea returned to his strength when the morning appeared. And the Egyptians fled against it. And the Lord overthrew the Egyptians in the midst of the sea. And the waters returned, and covered the chariots, and the horsemen, and all the hosts of Pharaoh that came into the sea after them. There remained not so much as one of them. But the children of Israel walked upon dry land in the midst of the sea, and the waters were a wall unto them on the right hand and on the left. Thus the Lord saved Israel that day out of the hand of the Egyptians. And Israel saw the Egyptians dead upon the seashore. And Israel saw that great work which the Lord did upon the Egyptians. And the people feared the Lord, and believed the Lord, and his servant Moses.
Okay, where'd you stop at? Right, okay, so now let's go back. To Exodus chapter 10. So as homework, I want us to read on our own Exodus chapter 8 and Exodus chapter 9. Exodus chapter 8 and Exodus chapter 9. And there are one of the plagues I want to go into tonight. What time is it? 9 o'clock. How they doing up there? Send somebody else. Exodus chapter 8, Exodus chapter 9, homework. Let's see. And read Psalm 10, and we're going to start at verse 21. Yeah, we'll start there.
So this is Exodus chapter 10 and verse 21. And the Lord said unto Moses, Stretch out thine hand toward heaven, that there may be darkness over the land of Egypt, even darkness which may be felt. And Moses stretched forth his hand toward heaven, and there was a thick darkness in all the land of Egypt 3 days. They saw not one another, neither rose any from his place for 3 days. But all the children of Israel had light in their dwellings. And Pharaoh called unto Moses, and said, Go ye, serve the Lord, only let your flocks and your herds be stayed. Let your little ones also go with you. And Moses said, Thou must give us also sacrifices and burnt offerings, that we may sacrifice unto the Lord our God. Our cattle also shall go with us. There shall not an hoof be left behind. For thereof must we take to serve the Lord our God. And we know not with what we must serve the Lord until we come thither. But the Lord hardened Pharaoh's heart, and he would not let them go. And Pharaoh said unto him, Get thee from me, take heed to thyself, see my face no more. For in that day thou seest my face, thou shalt die.
Right. So this, as you stop it, and Moses said, Thou hast spoken well, I will see thy face no more. So that seems to be the logist of this night. Well, let's go further into this evening. This is one of my favorite plagues, because this plague is full of torment. This just did it. The Most High didn't just bring darkness down upon them and then that was it. Okay, so let's go to Wisdom of Solomon 17.
This is Wisdom of Solomon, chapter 17.
Just a second. Wisdom of Solomon 17 and I'll read it. That's why I stopped you.
Okay.
Let's see. I think it starts saying Wisdom of Solomon 17, 16, 17, and 1. Wisdom of Solomon 17 and verse 1. It says, For great are thy judgments and cannot be expressed. So how did Israel feel knowing that Egypt was being destroyed? They saw the animals being destroyed. They saw the crops being destroyed. They heard the people dying. They heard the people crying. Therefore, unnurtured souls have erred. So the Egyptians, this is about them. When the unrighteous men thought to oppress the holy nation, they being shut up in their houses, the prisoners of darkness. So it wasn't just pitch black that night. In fetters with the bonds of a long night. So just imagine just being there in straight darkness and you can't see at all. It says, the scripture says it was so dark that you could feel it. You couldn't even see from person to person. Later, exile from the eternal providence. In other words, the place that they thought they were in, you couldn't even imagine. So it's like, because Egypt is supposed to have been the glory of all lands, you know, nothing like that's supposed to happen. It says they were exiled. For while they supposed to lie hid in their secret sins, they were scattered under a dark veil of forgetfulness, being horrified, being horribly astonished. So the Egyptians, being in much sin, They thought that they would never give an account. So we had Wisdom of Solomon 17:3. Just like the people of America now. Okay, the Romans, they think that they're never going to give an account for the things that they've done. But they are. They're gonna pay for their deeds that they've done, towards you. They're gonna pay. What do you have to do? You got to make sure that you keep the faith. While they supposed to lay hid from their secret sins, they were scattered, meaning they got jacked up under a veil of what? Forgetfulness. What were they able to forget? It wasn't that the sins, because the Most High is bringing them to remembrance. The lifestyle that they had, that lifestyle can't save or help you now. Being horribly astonished and troubled with strange apparitions, meaning sights. So the Most High had them like in trances to where they seeing things. For neither might the corner that held them keep them from fear. So it shows you that they were quaking, that they were fleeing, that they were in the corners. But noises as of waters falling down sounded about them, and sad visions appeared unto them with heavy countenances. What did the sad visions represent? Remember how they were murderous people, destroyed, killers. Or whether they had just oppressed people to the point to where they were so sad from overworking them. No power of the fire might give them light. So they were trying to light fires. Neither could the bright flames of the stars endure to light in that horrible night. Only there appeared unto them a fire kindled of itself. Very what? Dreadful. For being much terrified, they thought the things which they saw to be worse than the sight they saw not. In other words, their mind was always what? Forecasting a worse circumstance that could happen unto them. This is going to happen, that's going to happen. So it led to panic attacks and things like that. As for the illusions of art magic, they were what? Put down. So all that madness that they were able to use to try and beguile simple souls, none of that could save or deliver them. It themselves were getting jacked up. And their vaunting in wisdom was reproved with disgrace. For they that promised to drive away terrors and troubles from a sick soul were sick themselves of fear, and worthy to be laughed at. For though no terrible thing did fear them, yet being scared with beasts that passed by and hissing of serpents, they died for fear. So the Lord said, people, that was loss of life. Some of the Egyptians, it's called being scared to death. Yeah. Some of them actually got scared to death. Being scared with beasts that passed by and hissing of serpents, they died for fear, denying that they saw the error, which could of no side be avoided. So every way that they would turn themselves, remember they ain't pitch black, so everywhere that they would turn themselves, there was something. And even to the closing of their eyes, there was something. So there's no escaping the horrifying judgments of the Lord. Verse 11, Wisdom of Solomon 17 and 11. For wickedness condemned by her own witness is very timorous, and being pressed with conscience always forecasted. See, that's what we was talking about, right?
Yes, sir.
Grievous things. So their own mind was always forecasting what? Grievous things. It's dead. Verse 12. For fear is nothing else but a betraying of the succors which reason offereth. You understand that? For fear is nothing else but the betraying of the what? Safeties, succors.
Right.
So when your safety, when your thought process, when what you know is real and safe and secure, when that gets betrayed, that's when fear comes in. That's what fear is. Okay? Which reason offereth. Okay? So now, and the expectation from within being less counted the ignorance more than the cause which bringeth the torment. But they sleep in the same night, that night, which was indeed intolerable, and which came upon them out of the bottoms of inedible hell. So it was meant, it had to happen that way. All right? Verse 14. But they sleep in the same night, that night, which was indeed intolerable. We read that verse 15 now. Were partly vexed with monstrous operations, and partly fainted. Their heart fell in them for a sudden fear and not looked for came upon them. So they never expected to feel that way. So then whosoever there fell down was straitly kept and shut up in a prison without iron bars. So that night, what do you think that's describing what happened? They went crazy.
Mm-hmm.
For whether he were a husbandman or a shepherd or a laborer in the field, he was overtaken. So it doesn't matter what your job description was or how special they was overtaken. Wisdom of Solomon 17 and 17, and endured that necessity. So the Most High said that was a necessity for them. They had to endure that. He had to deal with them like that. For what? Oppressing the holy people. Nobody's going to get away with touching the apple of the Lord's eye, which is his jewelry, his chosen holy nation of people, which could not be avoided, for they were all bound with one chain of darkness. Whether it was a whistling wind or a melodious noise of birds among the spreading branches, or a pleasing fall of water running violently, or a terrible sound of stones cast down. So you know how surround sound? You know how surround sound? Good surround sound.
Right.
Now make it horrifying and put it in the darkness, and know that the Most High is killing people and that he's destroyed everything in Egypt. This is the night they got put out. Right? All the other plagues that was causing Egypt to fall had already happened. And now this, on top of that, all of those things. So of course you're going to think that the stuff that you hear is real. And you don't know when it's going to come. So the sound is so realistic because it's from the creator of the sound. You understand? He made it there. And by it being there, some of them was just dying and swooning for fear, having heart attacks. Verse 19, or a terrible sound, or stones cast down, or running, that could not be seen of skipping beasts, or a roaring voice of most savage wild beasts, or a redounding echo from the hollow mountains. These things made them to swoon for fear. For the whole world shined in clear light, and none were hindered in their labor. So everybody else, so the Most High be doing things like this. Yes, everybody else, life was, nobody stopped. The people went to work. Everybody else had clear light. You understand? They fed the cattle. They let the dog out. You understand? They went for a walk. They ate. But these heathens, they got dealt with. So a lot of times when you hear people say that they had a strange sighting and they got dealt with like this and they got dealt with like that, the first thing that you want to do is discredit them. You say, no, that didn't happen, because they might be an Edomite. Oh, that didn't happen. You get a lot of bogus people. Well, hey, okay, I understand it's bogus. Well, if it did happen here, the Most High said it did this to a whole nation. What if he wants to deal with torment a family because they are a wicked lineage, some evildoers? Could not the Most High torment them and jack them up? Of course he could. That's not too hard. As a matter of fact, it's a righteous judgment, especially if they on the other end is scared as hell. Verse 21, over them only was spread a heavy night, only over them. An image of that darkness which should afterwards receive them. But yet were they unto themselves more grievous than the darkness. So do they go into paradise? No. No, they go into darkness. So this is telling you that Israel, you're the only ones that will be in that paradise with the Most High. They go into darkness. Only them only was spread in heavy night, the image of that darkness that should afterwards receive them. 18:1. Nevertheless, thy saints had a very great light, whose voice they hearing and seeing not their shape. Because they also had not suffered the same things, they counted them happy. So Israel counted themselves happy because they wasn't suffering like who? Like the Egyptians. So when we see the other nations suffering, we should be like, hey, let me count ourselves happy that we're not suffering. We at Wisdom of Solomon 18:1. Let's not count ourselves. Let's count ourselves what? Happy that this thing falling upon us. So should we be walking around talking about we sick, boss? No, man. Everybody understand? So, right. When you see them judgments, you're supposed to be like, okay, the Most High did that. I'm happy that didn't happen to me. But, verse 2, but for that they did not hurt them now, of whom they had been wronged before. Our foreparents always wanted vengeance. Why don't you black and Hispanics and Native Americans want vengeance now? Why don't you want vengeance now? Hold this. Let's go to 2 Ezra 4. What's it? 2 Maccabees 4.
Yeah.
Sorry. 2 Maccabees 4. Why don't you want vengeance? It's for the Lord to want vengeance, But you should want the Most High to take vengeance. That's what I'm referring to. Second Maccabees chapter 4 and verse 15.
Second Maccabees 4 and 15. Not setting by the honors of their father, but liking the glory of the Grecians best of all.
Right. Not setting by how our fathers, the righteous, they always, man, we they didn't like this. They didn't like that. They loved the Most High, but they didn't like this, and that's honorable right there, which is the commandments. But like what? The glory of the Grecians. What is the glory of the Grecians? Sin. Go ahead.
By reason whereof sore calamity came upon them.
Right. So when we don't set by the honors of our fathers, the scriptures say sore judgments come to us. Okay? Go ahead.
For they had them to be their enemies and avengers.
Right. At one point, we were, they were our enemies. And people who we wanted to take vengeance upon. Or we want vengeance for. Go ahead.
Whose customs they followed so earnestly.
Right, but right now we just honestly follow their customs. So we should want the Most High to take vengeance upon these people. Everybody, I hope y'all understand that. When you see these nations, you're supposed to be like, get them. You're supposed to want the Most High to get them. Get them. Get them. Destroy them. You understand? Destroy them. Hold this. Go to 1 Samuel. Is it this? Oh, let's see. Maybe it's Judges. Right with me. Judges, let's see. Okay, Israel. Exodus 15 it is, I'm sorry. First I thought it was, I know it was a sister. First I thought it was, why I say, where we go first?
First
Yeah, first I thought it was a sister, Hannah. Then I'm thinking it's Deborah, but it's Miriam. So it's Exodus 15. So yeah, I knew it was a sister. Exodus 15. And 1. So actually it's Moses, but Miriam is here too.
Exodus chapter 15 and verse 1. Then sang Moses and the children of Israel this song unto the Lord.
Right, he sung this song unto the Lord, saying, go ahead.
Saying, I will sing unto the Lord, for he hath triumphed gloriously. The horse and his rider hath he thrown into the sea.
Right, the horse and his damn rider did he throw into the sea. What are you talking about? The judgment on the Egyptians. Okay, jump down to verse 20. This is when Miriam is doing it and saying it.
Verse 20.
Right.
And Miriam, the prophetess, the sister of Aaron, took a timbrel in her hand. And all the women went out after her with timbrels and with dances.
Right, so she did. And what you think she's saying? Go ahead and read the next part.
And Miriam answered them, Sing ye to the Lord.
Right, sing ye unto the Lord. Go ahead.
For he hath triumphed glorious. The horse and his rider hath he thrown into the sea.
Right, so just imagine a woman singing with the little timbrels and everything. Yeah, they got rid of him. The horse and his rider, the horse and his... Y'all threw them dudes in the sea, man. Right. Right, oh, you was shaking it. Okay. Right, you was shaking it. Right. Right. So where is it that, when did we stop seeing oppression as oppression and foes and enemies that's foes and enemies? Foes and enemies is foes and enemies. Okay, let's go back. Wisdom of Solomon, chapter 18. And 2, but for that they did not hurt them now. Right. We were happy that they wasn't hurting us anymore. Of whom they had been wronged before. They thanked them and besought them pardon for that they had been enemies. Verse 3. Instead whereof thou gavest them a burning pillar of fire, both to be a guide of the unknown journey, and a harmless sun to entertain them honorably. For they were worthy to be deprived of light and imprisoned in darkness. So the Father said that they were worthy of that, to be deprived. Who had kept thy sons shut up. So this is talking to the Israelites. The Father is saying, hey, they kept your sons shut up, enslaved, grinding. Remember the hard rigor? By whom the uncorrupt light of the law was to be given unto the world. Meaning the uncorruptible light of the law was going to be given to the Israelites so that we could give unto the world. And when they had determined to slay the babes of the saints, one child being cast forth and saved to reprove them. Thou tookest away the multitude of their children and destroyedst them altogether with a mighty water. Of that night were our fathers certified afore, that assuredly knowing that unto what oaks they had given credence, they might afterwards be of good cheer. So of thy people was accepted both the salvation of the righteous and the destruction of the enemy. That's a beautiful precept right there. Because that means that the people, that they understood the will of the Most High by accepting what? The salvation and the destruction of their enemies. Verse 8. And wherewith thou didst punish our adversaries, by the same thou didst glorify us, whom thou hast called. For the righteous children of good men did sacrifice secretly, and with one consent made a holy law, that the saints should be alike partakers of the same good and evil, the fathers now singing out of the songs of praise. So this is telling you what was happening during the time of Egypt. that Israel, that they were sacrificing unto the Most High, according to what they were taught. From Noah to Abraham to Isaac to Jacob. I'll read it again. For the righteous children of good men did sacrifice secretly, and with one consent made a holy law. Verse 10. But on the other side there sounded an ill according cry of the enemies. And it's also going into when we were doing the Passover. You understand? When we were doing the Passover meal that night, they were in darkness getting jacked up while Israel was doing this. It says, but on the other side there sounded an ill according cry of the enemies, that lamentable noise was carried abroad for children that were bewailed. The master and the servant were punished after one manner, and like as the king, so suffered the common person. So they all together had innumerable dead with one kind of death. Neither were the living sufficient to bury them, for in one moment the noblest offspring of them was destroyed. So they were in no type of mental shape to be concerned about burying the dead or helping somebody else with, the burying of a dead, a funeral, whatever. The reason is
Conference recording started.
the reason is because everybody was up under what? The same type of judgment. Everybody had been getting jacked up. Everybody had some type of death. So they wasn't sufficient mentally enough to do anything. Everybody was mentally destroyed. And some was worse than others. Alright. Verse 12 again. So they all together had innumerable dead with one kind of death. Neither were the living sufficient to bury them. For in one moment the noblest offspring of them was destroyed. For whereas they would not believe anything by reason of the enchantments upon the destruction of the firstborn, they acknowledge this people to be the sons of God. They're going to do it again. They're going to do it again. For while all things were in, and the problem is you got a lot of citizens that's believing it already, but the government, they constantly being hardened. You understand? They constantly being hardened because they're going to continue to judge part of the 2/3 of the Most High. So the Most High gonna work it out, man. Verse 13, verse 14. For while all things were in quiet silence, and that night was in the midst of her swift course, thine almighty word leaped down from heaven out of thy royal throne as a furious man of war. See that? So this Yahushua. I'll read it again. Wisdom of Solomon 18 and 15. Thine almighty word. Remember the word being made flesh, according to John, the 1st chapter. Leap down from heaven out of thy royal throne as a furious man of war into the midst of a land of destruction. And brought thine unfeigned commandment as a sharp sword, and standing up filled all things with death. And it touched the heaven, but it stood upon the earth. Wow. That's right, man. All right. Wisdom of Solomon, chapter 18 and verse 17. But then suddenly visions of horrible dreams troubled them sore, and terrors came upon them unlooked for. And one thrown here and another there, half dead, showed the cause of his death. And the dreams that troubled them did foreshow this, lest they should perish and not know why they were afflicted. Yet the tasting of death touched the righteous also, and there was a destruction of the multitude in the wilderness. But the wrath endured not long. Why did it touch them? Verse 20, the tasting of death touched the righteous also, and there was a destruction in the wilderness, in the multitude in the wilderness. Why? Because of unbelief. Because they didn't continue in belief. So you can't just believe for a minute and then all of a sudden, you want to turn backwards. You say, well, listen, I'm going to stop believing because of sin. If you're not careful, Satan will come in and take away the very things that you've been building faith upon. The Most High help you. He establish you. He do this. He do that. He put you. But then all of a sudden, now you get showed something, and the thing that you showed goes against the life that you've been living for the last 5 years, 25 years, or however long you've been in that sin. And now, instead of stopping, you turn away. You start you stop believing. That's how Satan come in and take the words away from you out of your head by using reason, by giving you reason. You understand? Meaning you're trying to reason with the scriptures. Okay? So now, Wisdom of Solomon chapter 18 in verse, where did I stop at?
Verse
20, you're at the touching of death, touch verse 21. Wisdom of Solomon 18:21. For then the blameless man made haste. So that's Moses. And stood forth to defend them, and bringing the shield of his proper ministry. Even what? Prayer. Okay? And the propitiation of incense, set himself against the wrath, and so brought the calamity to an end, declaring that he was thy servant. So he overcame the destroyer, not with strength of body, nor with force of arms, but with a word subdued he him that punisheth, alleging at the oaths and covenants made with the fathers. You almost up there? Not really. All right, so actually we're going to stop there in here because that's just going into when Israel in the wilderness and the destroying angel was there, and Moses began to plead with the Most High and pray for Israel to stop them from being destroyed. All right. So, happy Feast of Unleavened Bread. It's for 7 days. Look at everybody. I know y'all tired. Come on, man. So I hope that y'all brothers and sisters are out there still keeping the Feast of Unleavened Bread for 7 days. You understand? I think the one thing that takes a toll upon us is that we have to go to work for our oppressors. We have to go, and having to go, what does that do? That make you tired because you stay up late, you get very little sleep, and, you come back, 7 days. But that's what this is all about. You know, it's about the unity, fellowship of the Spirit, learning, growing together, setting an example, participation. You know, that's what this is about. Jeremiah 29. And we finna actually stop. Jeremiah 29 and start verse 4.
Jeremiah 29 and 4. Thus saith the Lord of hosts, the God of Israel, unto all that are carried away captives, whom I have caused to be carried away from Jerusalem unto Babylon. Build ye houses, and dwell in them, and plant gardens, and eat the fruit of them.
Right, so Israel built houses, plant them, and dwell in them, plant gardens. So, you know, you can't rebel, you know, against the Most High, like this brother Zedekiah did. He rebelled against the Most High. The Lord had the king of Babylon blind him for rebelling. So, if the Most High is saying build, you know, you can build, you can do businesses, you can create your own lifestyle while living in this captivity to free you up to serve the Most High. You know, but it's all about the bump and the grind that you got to get into this world. You know, when I say bump and grind, meaning, you know, you got to learn. Young brother said, well, how you save? Hey, man, you got to learn to save. You got to, you know, just because my shoes get a little discoloration, I don't go change them. You know, I wear the jacket till it's gone. You know, I'm trying to save so I could do things, so I could provide. You know, I could provide for my family first. You know, I got to do for myself last because I created this family. I did that. And it's only righteous to, you know, to try and make sure that those provisions continue to be made available. So, you know, when you can work for yourself and be self-employed, then you create your hours, you go to work, and you know that you need to get the work done. You know what you need to provide for the family. You know what you need. You know, see what it takes for you to be the boss. But it's a little bit harder because at that point, you're totally responsible for everything. You know, right now, you just going in hitting the clock. You know, you didn't crunch numbers. You didn't go out and spend time looking and evaluating nothing. You know, whether you're driving trucks or you're building houses or, you know, you work in a school or you work at a car wash. You know, it doesn't matter. You know, you didn't buy the soap. You don't know the distributor. You didn't build you know, you just go in there, punching in and leaving. You know, to think that because you clean a mean car, that doesn't mean that, okay, well, I can actually run this business and I can be successful and this and that and this. You know, it's a lot to it. So you got to have a vision, you got to have a plan, you know, to do anything. You got to have a cost to see, is this something that I can do? You know, and also, two are always better than one. So it always takes a team of anything, you know, it takes a team to help grow. And if you could be an entrepreneur, is what it's called, you know, you could basically set your hours. You know, keep the feast. You know, when you don't have to work, you didn't make no promise to nobody. You know, and you can feast when the Sabbath, the class, but you know that you got to get the work done. In order to be successful, you got to be able to supply demand. So you gotta search out throughout your environment, your community, what is the demand? What do people need? No, not the, you know, we know money, but what are people buying? What are the consumers? What do they need? Huh?
Food and water.
Yes, you know, food and water, but you got to think. They can turn the faucet on and get water.
So clothing.
You know, most people drink faucet water anyway. High percentage of the people drink faucet water. They'll get it out the refrigerator. It's got a filter. You know, they're smart enough to do that. You know, you got people that drink bottled water too. But you know, you're trying to, so you can't sell water and get rich. You might make your money back because you're in zillions, but then you're gonna start losing. You know, so clothes. You know, you can sell clothes, but you know the trend changes.
That's all leverage off somebody what they need.
The trend changes from season to season, you know, with clothes. You know, so yeah, somebody said they need shirt with fringes. Yeah. So you know, you gotta supply demand. If you can supply demand, then you can go into business, but it's actually got to be able to make the type of money that you could take care of yourself. What are you good at? The Most High give you a talent. What are you good at? And first and foremost, are you keeping the commandments? If you're not keeping the commandments, then guess what, buddy? You know, the curses that's listed in Deuteronomy 28 is going to hinder you. How's your house? Let's deal with this. We're finished. But I'm going to speak on this because everybody is worn down. We keep a 7-day feast. Everybody's in a slump. And I know why y'all worn looking like that, because you had to go to work. You have to go to school. And for those of you that are in school, you should wake up and come up out of public schools. Stop loving the devils that are at the public school that you call friends. Because if you are at home and you're schooling at home, then guess what? You should be able to be like, hey, it's the Sabbath, it's the feast. I can do the work when I can get the work done. And know that, hey, I can get the work done. I know clearly now that it's very, very possible. You understand that? I know clearly. Elijah is somewhat up out of public school system and doing it on the computer. He'll probably be graduating in his junior year. If he keep the initiative up to do the work. He can do how much in 1 week? How much worth of work can you do in 1 week?
So I just finished another class today. It's
Like, pay attention to what I'm asking. A month, 2 months worth of work, like that.
I can gain a credit in like 2 to 3 weeks.
You can gain a credit in like 2 to 3 weeks.
So I just need 11 more credits.
And so how long normally does it take to get a credit?
A A semester,
semester.
You'll get a 0.5 credit for a semester.
You see, 0.5.
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
half.
Yeah, and one whole credit for 2 semesters. That's a year. That's why I broke it in 4 years. You get 6.5 a year.
Right. So you see the advantage of you know, being at home, and then you know you could go to sleep late, wake up when you wake up, and then get to work, because they take the filler out. You know, the filler is taken out lunchtime. Walking to class, and you know, instead of you having an 8-hour, you could spend 4 hours and be more productive than somebody was the whole week. You understand? In 3 days and 4 hours a day. What do you do with the rest of the time? You know, committed to this.
Yeah.
Because this is first and foremost. But it takes a person or a child growing up in their youth to see and understand that. You don't have to be mannish or womanish in a sinful or wicked way, but to be grown up in your youth is to take the counsel and advice from those that experience and say, hey, this is what I should do. Let me give this a shot. Let me give this a try. And then go forth and do it. Okay? So, it was something I was finna go and get. But, you know, you gotta put yourself in a type of situation to where you can be able to provide for yourself. And if you can do that, then you can do well. You know, you ain't gonna be crying about, you know, I gotta be at the gig, I got to work, I got to this and I got to that. You know, don't be afraid to invest in yourself. Yeah, I know when I was a union carpenter, and I thought I was like that. You had insurance, making $1,000 a week. I'm like, man, if I leave this job, you know, what's gonna happen? You know, children, they need insurance, and I need this to take care of this. The Most High provided. I just took the chance. I began to work on my own for myself, knowing that I got bills to pay. I would get up and, you know, not walk off and not say nothing, but I would get up and go get it, because I know that, you know, I got to be responsible. I got children, I got the wife, I got bills. I have to be responsible. So, and then leaving the so-called white man and that yoke that he had upon you, to thinking that you can't survive without him, that was broke. The Most High's like, I got you. Now, you can't step out there if you breaking the laws. This is where I was going, Deuteronomy 28. You breaking the laws, you're not going to have no success. You ain't going to have no success on the job that you want. Several things that's going to cripple you, man. Breaking the laws and giving no alms. I already know you're having hard times if you're breaking the laws and you ain't giving no alms. And I can show you. Deuteronomy chapter 28 and verse 15. But it shall come to pass, if thou wilt not hearken unto the voice of the Lord, to observe to do all his commandments and his statutes which I command thee this day, that all these curses shall come upon thee and overtake thee. Verse 16, cursed should I be in the city, and cursed should I be what? In the field. The field is your job. What's up, Shalom, Amelia? And cursed should I be that basket in the store, right? Cursed should I be that basket in the store. That's your food. So you breaking the laws and you got a job, high percentage of our people, you are struggling. You're struggling with a low-end job, you're struggling low-end pay, and you're struggling with the basket in the store, the food. You have no support system. the Most High is not helping you out. So, you want to start businesses. First thing you got to do, man, you got to get yourself right with the Most High. You got to keep the commandments. The opposite is that is the first chapter. Now, if you're gonna keep the commandments and you're gonna set your house in order, that does take time. It does take time. Okay? It doesn't happen overnight. It's one day. Now let's go to 1 Timothy. So remember, I'm saying all of this stuff. No, not 1 Timothy, 1 Peter 3. I'm saying all this stuff because we went to Jeremiah and the scriptures say, hey man, build houses, plant vineyards and stuff like that. Eat the fruit thereof. You want your life and your time to you and you want to prosper. First thing you got to do is you got to keep the commandments. First Peter chapter 3 and verse 7, it says, husbands, dwell with them according to knowledge. So the husbands that's married, you got to dwell with your wife according to the Bible, giving honor unto the wife. You understand? What does that mean? That means to respect her, to care for her, and love her, and not hate her. Pay attention to her and teach her. That's what that means. Give honor to her. Don't be dishonorable. Look at her like she's dishonorable. You treat her like she's dishonorable. You treat her like she's nothing. No, you have to treat her like honorable. As the weaker vessel, meaning as the person that needs help. And being heirs together. So y'all going to inherit together. So you want her to be sharp, right? Of the grace of life. Meaning the things that the Most High going to bless you with while you are alive. Not just, in the resurrection, but like right now, today. That your prayers be not hindered. Like you want success. So the scriptures say if you want success, you got to follow the other parts that's up top. Not just, well, I want, my prayers not to be hindered. But I'm not going to follow the other stuff. I'm not going to honor her. I'm not going to work on it, the situation, because I know I'm responsible. She's the vessel that has to learn from me. Well, I'm not sure if we going to inherit together. But bless us. Bless me. No, that's crazy. That's not right. That's not right. But bless me. Who's saying that? Pookie? Who's named Pookie in here? Pookie on the street. The weed head. You high. Are you high? You know what I'm saying? You thinking like that? You can't be like that, brothers. So in order for our houses to work and us to have success, start with the house, then the business. Then the business. A lot of times you can have what they call some type of little hobby or something. That could you can make money off of. Name a hobby that you enjoy, Daryl.
Escort.
Escort, that driving.
Yep.
That's your job though.
Right, but I figured it was a hobby after I started driving. For a lot of people, I can't drive for 3 hours, but I can drive 12 plus hours with no problem.
Okay, name something on the side of that.
Oh, okay.
Because that's number one at this point.
Right. Okay. Working out.
Working out? Okay. So maybe you could. Yeah.
Personal trainer.
Yeah, personal training. You know, but with that you have to be righteous because you get tempted. Satan to
Right.
come at you. You know, she got the leotards on, and she'll be wanting to bump the music, boom, 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 boom,
Right.
boom, boom, and expect you to work out to something like that. You like, wait a minute, what is going on?
Right.
You show up to the gym, she got this Superman's on. You like, wait a minute, what is going
Another
on?
route, right?
Right, you gotta go to the right.
Yeah.
So, you know, anybody else? What's your habit, Jarrell? Hobby. Your main job is security. You top flight. You don't have a hobby? Anything that you like to do?
Like go outside, people.
Go outside and view so you can get paid. How can you get paid going outside and viewing? Brother, you be a guide or something? Tour guide. See, wait, and you know that's a job. See what I'm saying? That's a job, brothers. So we sitting up here, we ain't getting paid. We got all this, you know, that's a job, man. You could probably drive the train, man, in the zoo or something. See, look on the far right, you got the cat house. And look at Leo the lion. You know what I'm saying, brother? You gotta get smart. You gotta get yours, man.
Right.
You gotta get yours, man.
That's right.
OJ, man, out the security got the hobby, man, the sightseeing. And over here, up here, that's cat leopards. You know? Right. All right. Who? Somebody else had a hobby.
Sewing.
Sewing. Okay. Boom. That's without, you know, in that order. How y'all say it?
In that order.
Right. Yeah. You know, you can sew things, brother. Sew things and, you know, get yours. Right? Okay. Go ahead.
Customizing shoes and computer coding.
Customizing shoes. Okay.
And computer coding.
And computer coding. Okay. See? So, you know, the reason why I'm saying this is because now, whatever it is that you like to do, you can try and find out how to create revenue to take care of yourself. Now, say, for instance, that thing blows up. Yeah. What if that blows up? To where, you know, you have a demand and you start meeting that demand and you're actually making money. The first thing that you would start doing when you start making money is what?
Saving
Y'all got the right answer. But are you going to save it? Jamie, come on,
Nah, I
man.
got to.
Jamie is not the cheapest dude I know. He is not. Jamie is Splurge. That's his name, Splurge. 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 That brother was Splurge, man. He will eat good and live good. He ain't saving it. It's burning. You touch him. You got a temperature? No, I got some money in my pocket.
Only
All right.
job.
Exquisite and abstract purchases.
No, don't bring that. I'm gonna get in trouble when you say that.
Go.
Invest. Yeah, brother. You can invest. You know, I be thinking that online investing and stuff like that is some type of scam. So, you know, I can't sing you no rubber band, man. You know, and you tell me, well, you know, the market went this way, and I can't, you know, I can't put no pause on you. You know, so I take it I take it the slow way, man. I gotta save $20 at a time, man. I can't trust you.
People say if you would have put $100 in Bitcoin in 2010, you'll be a 100 billionaire.
If you had did it in 2010, from then to now, you'd have had a billion.
$100 billion.
You would put what?
$100 in Bitcoin.
Who told you
2010.
Who told you this?
Rich millionaire dude.
Did he do it?
Yeah.
He did it, and now he's all of that.
He ain't got 100. He a rich millionaire.
Was he on YouTube?
All right. So now, yeah, brother.
You said invest in. I heard you.
Somebody on there said invest.
I heard you speak on buying silver and buying gold.
Nah, not me. Somebody else might have.
Oh,
No, yeah, not me. I don't. You know, I'm hard to trick, brother. You can't get me.
I got an idea. People gonna start wanting to go work.
But I'm not even saying that it's. I'm not saying that it's not. You know, I'm not saying that it's not real. I am not a person of chance.
Okay.
I'm not the one to trick.
Right.
You see what I'm saying? I don't gamble with you.
That's just like that Bitcoin. Everyone was all in, oh, invest. And I guess like people was making money for like a month or two, and then it just crashed.
Yeah.
So you ain't even talking, no one ain't even talking.
That was game. That was game.
Right, straight
To get your money out there. Now you end up with some coins. You got some metal,
Yeah, some metal, that's all.
but that's all.
That's it.
You know, overall, the house always wins, man. I'm from the old school, not the new school.
Right. Always.
I was born that night, not last night.
Y'all should have invested in our phone.
Yeah.
They blew up and they gonna continue to blow up.
Well, guess what? These people, hold up now. These people in their blessing, so they gonna blow up. Everything, most everything they touch, you know, is gonna turn out for them. So, for us, we keep these commandments and these laws, and be patient. The Most High prevention. Okay, the Most High prevention gonna help you out. As long as it ain't something that's gonna destroy you. If it's gonna take you away from this word, He ain't gonna give it to you. You don't need the Most High to give you something that's gonna take you up out of this word. He give you a new car, now you don't come to school. But when you was on the bus, you was faithful. You was at the school every day, every class. You was the first one there, now you got a new car. Where this brother at? Yo, man, I had to run my mom somewhere. Where was your mom for the last 3 years? You know, now all of a sudden, so you don't want the Most High to give you something that's going to hurt you. Always remember that. Because it's better to not have and enter into the kingdom than to gain this whole world and then lose out because it take you into sin. Most High bless you with money or whatever, that's not supposed to change you. He bless you with money, you're supposed to remain the same, and then you can start distributing. You can start helping to those brothers and sisters that's in need, because everybody up in here is struggling, hurt, struggling, and other brothers and sisters out there. You know what I'm saying? So, you ever get, you just start looking out for your people. You know, try to set up, you know, how can I best do this truth? You know, what can I do, you know what I'm saying, for the truth? There are people, you know, maybe, you know, travel. First thing that we want to do is, you know, we want to travel. You know, we want to get out there. There's so many people crying that they by themselves. I would just love to just bring the crew to you. Financially, we can't. So what we try and do is offer you to come out here and then help you the best way we can when you get out here. But if we was financially able, don't worry about it. You know, we'll fuel the jet or warm the bus. You see, the coach. That's what I like to have, man. One of them luxury coaches, brother.
Where you gonna park?
I don't know.
Ain't never thought
A luxury coach, man, where we all can fit on that thing and comfortable and just be up out of here. Up out. and go spread this truth, man.
Until then, we got an Astro van, we
Right.
got an Astro, All I gave was an Astro. We don't got the coach.
All right, so Matthew 26. Yeah, it's good pay, but they work you so hard. I will just come home and just lay down dirty.
How long you gotta work?
8 hours.
That's a school.
You ever
day.
did that?
All the time.
That's a school.
Yes.
day.
I used to. I don't get that chance now. That's right.
Make it straight in the door and just lay down on the floor.
Don't touch me.
Yeah, man. Straight up.
Take a shower, go back to sleep. Get up in the morning.
Dang.
Yeah, it's hard. And they had this one racist foreman. This dude used to just do nothing but walk around and see what I'm doing. You just move, walking on concrete, up, down, up, down, up, down, move, up, down, move, up, down. Hanging, framing. And then hanging. 5/8, 12-foot sheets. Ain't no 8-foot board.
Dang.
That's like a bale of bricks. You pick them up, it's like your arms will just drop down. Yeah, it's heavy.
And you got you walking upstairs with that?
No, they just all over the building. Whatever you would frame, after you would frame it, then you would hang the drywall. So the board just be on the pile. But just to lift it, it's like longer than this table. So if this is a 6-foot table, what is these?
6s. No, they 5 footers.
So these 12s that long? I ain't seen them that long, huh? Yeah. So
We looking for the end of it.
They was at the
so these sheets will be that long. They'll be about that thick. And like I said, they weigh like a bale of bricks. So you would have to just tilt one up and walk up to the middle of it and lift it and carry it over there. If somebody was free, like your partner was free, he'll get on it because he know that it's a bar. But other than that, then you expect it to just get it over here.
That's worth $1,000 a week. My opinion, they seem like it's worth it.
I'm done with that for this lightweight stuff that they have now. Yeah. But the lightweight stuff, it don't be cold. Meaning it's like fire cold. So it's got insulation in it. The thick stuff, it's got insulation in it. And then we was hanging those when we had to build the elevator shafts. So the regular elevators that you go up and down when you go into those buildings, they just start off as whole stairwells. You know what I'm saying? Nothing in it or nothing. So those things have to be built. So they framed off, and then the walls that go in there is this thick. That thick.
Like a sheet of concrete.
But it's not 4 foot wide, it's only 2 foot wide. You understand? But still, 12. And I think some of them could be even longer than that, like 14s I might have saw. Or 10s, 12s. Yeah. you get a hernia on that. Them blow knees out and everything, man. Guys be getting bad knees carrying that shit. That's like, man. All right. So, Matthew 26:6. Now, when Yahushua was in Bethany in the house of Simon the leper, there came unto him a woman having an alabaster box, a very precious ornament, and poured it on his head as he sat at meat. But when his disciples saw it, they had indignation, said, to what purpose is his waste? But his ornament might have been sold for much and given to the poor. When Yahushua, whom the world calls Jesus, understood it, he said unto them, Why trouble ye the woman? For she hath brought the good work upon me. For you have the poor always with you, but me you have not always. For in that she hath poured this ornament on my body, she did it for my burial. Verily I say unto you, wheresoever this gospel shall be preached in the whole world, there shall also this that this woman have done be told for a memorial of her. So Christ said to tell the thing that this woman have done, to show several things that she honored him and not herself. So we give all praises to the Most High for giving her the spirit to do so, and also to bring forth a beautiful example of bringing forth a broken and contrite heart. And that's the spirit that Israel that we're supposed to get. And so that's another thing that Christ wants us to get out of this, to see that this woman at one point was in sin and that she decided to change her life and then follow the examples of Christ by keeping the commandments all the rest of the days of her life. And that's the sister that was there at, you know, when he was being crucified. So 1 Corinthians 11 now in verse 23. This is the Lord's communion. For I received of the Lord that which also I delivered unto you, that the Lord Yahushua, the same night in which he was betrayed, took bread. And when he had given thanks, he brake it and said, Take, eat. This is my body which is broken for you. This do in remembrance of me. After the same manner also he took the cup when he had supped, saying, This cup is the New Testament in my blood. This do ye as oft as ye drink it in remembrance of me. For as often as you eat this bread and drink this cup, you do show the Lord's death till he come. So if you brothers and sisters, if you have the unleavened bread and the wine, now will be a good time to get it. So by us being in the feast of unleavened bread, yeah, you all shall have unleavened bread and wine, right? It says, Wherefore whosoever shall eat this bread and drink this cup of the Lord unworthily shall be guilty of the body and blood of the Lord. But let a man examine himself, so let him eat of that bread and drink of that cup. And he that eateth and drinketh unworthily, eateth and drinketh damnation to himself, not discerning the Lord's body. But it is cause, meaning weak and sickly among you, meaning sleep. For if we would judge ourselves, we should not be judged. But when we are judged, we are chastened of the Lord, that we should not be condemned with the world. So at this point, we're going to wait for the other minister to bring forth the unleavened bread and the wine. Give us a minute. Be patient.
How old you gotta be to drop into being covered? 18?
Probably out of school, about 18. You can skip that.
Good pay though. Don't skip on good pay.
It will take you 4 years to get that pay.
I gotta go to school for that.
Yeah. 4 years of school, 4 years on that. And in 4 years, the money that, and the money that you try making with them, I mean, all you gotta do is pay attention to what's going on around you. Depends on what you're going for. You're gonna go in there, and to be honest, or you're gonna be able to engineer something.
I got big dreams.
You gotta see what the Most High got in store for you.
Hopefully some sleep tonight.
Hopefully some sleep.
Where was she at when we was doing that alternator? He should have been up on that mud twist.
Experimenting at your house for the last
Is that it? Everybody hear what's Kasai?
experiments.
There was a glass of wine on the table upstairs. You can't eat it on there. She takes stuff and drinks.
Pull it out to her.
Somebody left wine on the table? That's why lives great.
Oh, sorry.
That look like she trying.
She has to be by the food.
All right. Most High in the name of Christ, thank you for the food and drink, amen.
Amen.
This is body which is broken for you. This is blood.
This stuff is aging. Do it need to be shook enough or something? No, they warm me up.
It's that Louisiana. Right there. Some good stuff. Flash. All right. So, I guess that's it. We're going to send up prayers. Yeah, D, that's that wine, man. We're going to stand and face Jerusalem. Israel, stay around for the prayers. The Lord's Prayer, Matthew 6 and 9. Our Father which art in heaven, hallowed be thy name, thy kingdom come, thy will be done, in earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our debts, as we forgive our debtors. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom, and the power, and the glory forever. In Christ's name we pray, amen.
Amen.
The laborer's prayer, Luke 10 and 2. Therefore said he unto them, the harvest truly is great, but the laborers are few. Pray therefore the Lord of the harvest, that he would send forth laborers into his harvest. Bless you, Most High, King of heaven and earth, and all things, Most High, in the name of the Christ. Send more disciples and teachers to your harvest, to gather your people Israel, and send counsel behind your laws to stand before thy people Israel. Give to us strength to break down all lies with thy word. In Christ's name we pray. Amen.
Amen.
The prayer against our enemies. Luke chapter 18 and 1. And he spake a parable unto them to this end, that men ought always to pray and not to faint, saying, there was in a city a judge which feared not God, neither regarded man. And there was a widow in that city, and she came unto me, saying, avenge me of mine adversary. And he would not for a while. But afterward he said within himself, though I fear not God, neither regard man, yet because this widow troubleth me, I will avenge her, lest by her continual coming she worry me. And the Lord said, hear what the unjust judge said. And shall not God avenge his own elect, which cry day and night unto him, though he bear long with them? I tell you that he will avenge them speedily. Nevertheless, when the Son of Man cometh, shall he find faith on the earth? The blessed of Israel, Numbers chapter 6 and 24. Children of Israel, the Lord bless thee and keep thee. The Lord make his face shine upon thee and be gracious unto thee. The Lord lift up his countenance upon thee and give thee peace. And in Christ's name we pray, amen.
Amen.
Children of Israel, bless one another.
Most high in the name of Christ, bless you all.
Just stand still. I have to close out this account.
Invalid option. There are words.
I know that line ain't true.
All right, Israel Shalom. Most High Yahweh shall bless everybody. I'm going to go ahead and end the live. Strength and honor to all the following Israelites. If anybody need me, just inbox me, okay? All right, y'all. Most High in Christ bless. Shalom Shabbat.